Salutations everyone, I'm Nirubikoshi, and boy howdy do we have a long fucking video for you. After my long-winded, going off tangent review on Gunpowder Milkshake, I want to try and condense this as possible, but then it's impossible to, since I'm talking about two movies here. And that is Batman The Long Halloween Part 1 and Part 2. I wanted to talk about Part 1, but honestly, I wanted to at least wait out until both parts were out on digital, and luckily they were. And I wanted to talk about this film and how much it inspired a lot of live-action Batman movies. Mainly talking about Batman Begins and the Dark Knight movie, mainly. I don't think the OG, 80s Batman was inspired by Long Halloween. I'm pretty sure Tim Burton loved The Killing Joke more, since he's more inspired by that than Long Halloween in this case. So, Batman The Long Halloween. What do I think about it? Well, first off, yes, I never read the comic. I know, blasphemous of me to not. Long Halloween has been on my radar for a long time. I've wanted to read it for a long time and put it in my library, and not my digital library. I wanted it in physical copy, actually go to Barnes & Nobles and buy it. Barnes & Noble, not Nobles. That's a fucking common mistake I make. But yeah, I wanted to go there, buy it, have it in my collection along with Killing Joke, and maybe a few other Batman comics I've been recommended, like White Knight as well. Thank you to Aloha Dandy for recommending that for me. This was really good. I really was not expecting this to be good. I've been a fan of the DC universe for a long time, from the shows, not the live action shows, but the cartoons and the animated movies that came out during my time as a kid. Like Superman Doomsday or Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which is a great one that I've seen when I was young. And some of them I like, some of them I don't. And despite that DC does have a lot of misfires sometimes, they don't, always have misfires. They have a lot of hits. DC animated movies do not, just go bare minimum and say, let's not put effort into it. No, they put so much effort in their movies, it's amazing. Some movies like Batman Year One that I didn't particularly like kind of, fall off because it's not that great of a animated movie. Hell, the animation quality is poor, in my opinion. From the animation style to, its art. It was unappealing to me. Not only that, it just felt like it was trying to, get quick and straight to the point. Oh god, Year One just sucked. It just sucked. It was too short of a movie. It had just wanted to say, hey, we did the comic, okay, bye. Just like with Killing Joke, despite Killing Joke try to mimic the style of the comic, it failed, and it was more of a poor quality taste. Not only that, that Batgirl intro was just awful. And we all know how awful that was. The bat sex scene, which, it's been confirmed, the mask stays on during sex. But I was thinking that it wasn't going to do that. I was thinking Batman The Long Halloween was going to be like, oh, it's a TV movie. It'll feel like an hour-long episode of of a Justice League cartoon or a Batman cartoon. But no, it doesn't feel like that, honestly. And I'm not disrespecting the other animated movies. I love them. I have a lot of my favorites. I love Batman, Superman, Public Enemies. Again, Mask the Phantasm, but that gets a pass already because that was already a theatrical film as well. Oh, there's a lot of movies I love. The Justice League movies are good. Suicide Squad Hell to Pay was pretty good as well. I love that film more than Assault on Arkham. I'm sorry, that one was just trash to me. I just don't think that Starfire was a good Harley Quinn. There. But I'm honestly more shocked about Long Halloween, how cinematic it feels. I do love the art style better in this than other animated DC films. I do love this more. And it's taking the same animation style as Superman Man of Tomorrow. Haven't seen that yet, but I am gonna watch it knowing that this is now a new DC cinematic, well, animated universe that they're making currently, starring this Batman, that Superman, and also Justice Society is part of that universe as well, so I have to see that also. And I'm loving the new animation style, the dark lines being shown on the characters, the nice, like, looking, like, esque background. I love this beautiful quality of animation that they're doing with this, but sometimes the animation gets robotic, how the characters move and such, but it makes up for its art style, which I found beautiful in this. Not only that, I love the atmosphere in this movie. Like, there's like good solid like silent moments, and you can hear like the background noise of like this of Gotham City. Like you hear like the city background of cars passing by, people yelling or talking out in the distance, the sound of noises like police sirens, even like the dead of night when people are alone in like a backyard or something. You hear like crickets or just the air blowing in the back. It's really beautiful how they just have those silent moments in the film. Like they don't have the music like blaring in the background, taking over, getting annoying a little bit because they had to put music in every scene to make things tense, I guess. But this one, they made it feel like an actual, I don't know, movie that could have been put in the theater. Not gonna lie. Even the acting, like the voice acting is really great in the film. Like everyone has a great, strong performance of their character, and you can feel the weight and emotion through them a lot, and I love that. Like, it doesn't feel like, oh, we're just gonna read these lines and just whatever, just get over with it as quickly as possible and go with the take that sounds the best. Like, it's not like they have to rush this out or anything. Like, they're not rushing it, they're taking their time and effort on these movies, which explains why they did a two-parter. Like, they really did cared about making this movie. Like, the animators from DC were like thinking, oh, we cannot do the same mistake we did with Killing Joke. We gotta go and put as much time and effort with this as possible and just give the fans much care to this beloved comic book story. And I'm glad they did. And making it two parts as well. I guess it's the same thing they did with The Dark Knight Returns story arc, which was pretty good. They made it a two-parter, and that movie was pretty good as well. And that was pretty enjoyable too. And from what I've heard, this movie was supposed to be delayed and come out before the new Batman movie was going to come out in theaters, but due to, the pandemic happening, it neither of those movies came out that year. But since then, they finally got to put this movie out. So hey, we got a Batman movie that finally came out this year. It's just not the one that was promised to come out this year, sadly. But either way, I'm honestly happy that this movie came out, since I've been waiting for something Batman related for a long time. I really wanted something new. And luckily, Long Halloween came along this year. And it's beautiful. I will say I'm glad they're showing a different side of Batman that I like. And that's Batman in his early years, basically. So it shows that it's a Batman that is inexperienced still and still learning along the way of becoming a better vigilante. And he's starting to learn that he can't just fight criminals and beat the shit out of them. He has to be a detective as well and learn how to piece clues together and figure out like mysterious killings or who the culprits are, because Batman has made a lot of mistakes in the first movie, thinking it was Joker or thinking it was Falcone's son, Alberto, and you find out it's not. And much to my shock as well in this movie, it wasn't Two-Face, which shocked me. I was like, what? It's not Two-Face as well? Because you would think, like, oh, it's Harvey's split personality that's been doing it the whole time, but it's not. And it shocks you. And when you find out who it is, it makes sense, and it just catches you off guard for a second, because you start to think, it has to be this person. It has to be this one person, because you didn't see the killer this holiday killer come out during Halloween, so it must be this person. And then you find out and you're like, oh shit. That is shocking. I'm trying to do minimal spoilers as possible in this, because I want everyone to go out and see this movie and support it, because this is honestly hands down DC's best work yet in the animation department. Alright. I think Jensen Ackles was a great choice to play Batman, honestly. If you don't know who Jensen Ackles is, he's Dean Winchester from Supernatural, or if you're just for a DC fan like me, you'll probably know him as Jason Todd, aka the Red Hood, in Batman Under the Red Hood. Also a good movie, and a great performance from Jensen as well as Jason Todd. I really did like his performance as the Red Hood. It showed his vocal talents as an actor did shine through, showing Jason Todd's pain and need for revenge on the people who wronged him, mainly Joker, and also getting back at Batman, showing that the only way crime is going to stop in Gotham if he kills the bad guys that are in it. And it really was pretty great performance from him. And now seeing him basically one-ing up his performance by becoming Jason Todd to Batman, it's amazing. He's not technically got the Batman voice down right. His Bruce Wayne, perfect. His Batman voice could use work. Again, nothing can top Conroy as Batman, and nothing can top Mark Hamill as Joker. Well, Troy Baker, though, honestly, because Troy Baker does a killer Mark Hamill Joker impression. So honestly, I think Troy Baker can be gunned down as a good Joker. Well, running as a good runner-up as the replacement. If you want a Mark Hamill like Joker, I think Troy Baker's your man. Honestly, because dude has perfect comedic timing, honestly, as Joker, and he does a great job. Especially one scene I loved in the movie where he gets punched by Batman and he's near a desk that has a knife on it, and he goes and uses the phone and says like, "Hi Sheila, cancel all my appointments, I have a pest to exterminate." I love that line. It was perfect. I can give Jensen the benefit of the doubt since he is a Batman that is going through his first years as a hero to so he's basically still figuring out the voice he should use for Batman. So honestly, I can give him some leeway for that, but if he is staying in this animated universe, which I hope he does, I hope that he can perfect his Batman voice a bit more. There, Josh Duhamel as Harvey in Two-Face, pretty good. He did. I was like scared to wonder, is he gonna do the Two-Face voice right? And apparently, people can do Two-Face's voice. It's just a matter of making you sound like this, with a flip of a coin. It's kind of like doing the Christian Bale Batman voice, but honestly more menacing and more sadistic. Honestly, really is shocking. But I say every actor gives a great performance in this, and I think the main players get a lot of good development on who they are. Gordon, Batman, Harvey, you see everyone get their fair share of development with their character. Not by like dialogue, but by facial expressions, by actions. Like you see them do well in this performance. I also want to say something at the end, but I'll say it later. That there is a secret killer in this movie that I want to point out at the end of this video, but I'll stay to it. I'll try to remember it and let you know who the secret killer is. And this is not a spoiler. This is something unrelated to the movie, but is very important because it's gonna come. I will let you know on it. I like to talk about all the things they do in these movies that inspired Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, but I kind of have a complaint about this movie. Batman says that Harvey is his friend in this movie, as he said twice in the second one that Harvey was his friend. And honestly, I didn't see it to believe it. I mean, with Jensen's performance, it does feel like, yeah, you do believe him that it was his friend. But I feel like the chemistry kind of lacked, honestly. You don't see any, dialogue between the two. You don't see any, common ground. Well, you do, but you don't see a friendship bonding between them. In the animated series, I think it was done better because you did see Harvey and Bruce talk to each other, got along, were basically friends in the beginning. You saw them talk to each other, have fun, laugh, date beautiful women. You saw that in the progression of it. And you saw the buildup of their friendship in the course of episodes until it gets to the episode where Harvey becomes Two-Face. And can I point this out, which is the dumbest cliche for Harvey becoming Two-Face? How the hell does someone sneak in acid in a courtroom? I'm very curious. How do you put acid inside a bottle and that bottle does not get burned out or get cut it up through with the acid? Hell, even one of the family members of the Maroney family was like, that shit can burn through concrete. And like, but a glass or plastic fucking bottle that you brought in the courtroom doesn't? I don't know. I kind of had that complaint. I mean, it kind of was better with The Dark Knight where Harvey got caught in the explosion. He was half of his face was covered in gasoline. He gets burned on that side. I kind of think that was better. I mean, then again, you can argue the fact like this dude brought like a bottle that was disguised as a medicine bottle or something. And then the cops were like, it's just medicine. And then they're like, whatever. And then he's like, haha, acid, bitch. But still, how do you contain acid? I don't understand. Am I stupid? Is there a type of acid that doesn't burn through a certain material that I'm not racking my brain in? Am I that dumb? Am I not that good of a scientist to learn about that? A lot of things in this comic, mainly, not just the movie, you see the inspirations of Batman Begins and Dark Knight, and it kind of makes me want to watch Dark Knight again, this movie. And you see, I never saw much from Batman Begins in the first part, but in the second part you see it, like Scarecrow riding the horse, him unleashing his fear toxin around the city of Gotham. What else was there? Oh, Commissioner Gordon, when he disguised himself as a SWAT officer in like the scene where they're like driving the SWAT vehicles carrying a prisoner in. That was also Dark Knight, and that was Dark Knight inspired basically, because since like Batman disguised himself as a SWAT officer as well in the vehicle, and once the vehicle got crashed and destroyed, and you find out that it was planned all along just to capture Two-Face, or in a Dark Knight to capture Joker. That was also an inspired thing that Dark Knight took inspiration from, which was pretty cool. The money, you know, when Joker burns that pile of money that was stacked up that was given to him, also the Dark Knight was also inspired by that, in a scene where Batman, Catwoman, and Harvey find Falcone's money in a warehouse all stacked up, and they burn it as well. Also inspired in Dark Knight, which was pretty awesome, honestly, in my opinion, which is so cool. Even taking out the crime families was also something that Dark Knight was inspired by, where taking down the Falcone and Maroney crime families in Gotham, basically, was also something that Dark Knight and Batman Begins took inspiration from. But then again, unlike those movies, they made Falcone seem like a typical gangster, like bad guy mobster in the movies. Like, he's just typical. He's like no sympathy whatsoever, nothing to go and freaking like say like, oh, he's sympathetic, oh, there's something heartfelt about him that we don't know about. No, he's just a typical bad guy in the live action movies. Here in this film, you see some sympathy for Falcone, of seeing him think of the mistakes he's made and wishing he could have done something better, and wishing that he took back everything he said, probably. And you see that even the connections that he has with Bruce Wayne and his parents, and you see a lot of that emotion, thinking like Batman has no ill will towards Falcone, since his father used to be friends with the Falcones to help him build hospitals, to help people. And you see that connection in this movie. You feel the emotion between these two with Bruce Wayne and Falcone, and you see like the emotions of them thinking, well, I screwed up, I should have been a better father to my son, and being a better father in general in this family. And you see that, and it's very sad, honestly, that you think you would never feel for a mob boss, but you do. The Maroni family, I don't give two shits for, because you barely know about them, but you barely know a lot about them, and it's more focused on this one particular family in general. So it is so, which makes sense because there's more to talk about them than the Maronis, because they don't have anything going on in their life besides getting modded. Let's bring out the elephant in the room, Catwoman, and her voice actor. Do I like her? Oh yes, I think she gave a great performance as Catwoman. I think she does great. And also something to bring up, probably one of my favorite designs of Selina Kyle. Just those bright green eyes. If you want to know what I'm attracted to someone, I love green eyes. I don't know, something about green eyes on a person is so mesmerizing to me, especially bright green eyes. And Selina Kyle has beautiful green eyes. I love the short black hair on her. She looks gorgeous. And her Catwoman outfit's pretty good too. I love her outfit. They changed it a bit. Well, they changed it a lot in the movie, unlike her suit in the comic book, which is a bit more different. And I've seen that costume in Arkham City, which is a option you can use to play as Catwoman in the long Halloween type version of her outfit. She is just amazing, and the voice actor does a great job playing her. And yes, the actor who played her sadly passed away, had an untimely death a while ago, trying to save her son from drowning in a boat. And it's sadly ironic how the first movie ends on a boat, so yikes. And I'm pretty sure that was unintentional from the animators, but yeah. I really wish to see more from that actor. I really did, because when I saw her performance in this movie, I was like, it's sad that she's gone, because I really did want to see where they would go with the character, how she was gonna like perform as her. I know they will sadly probably replace her with someone else, hopefully someone good as well as her, to play as Catwoman, because I do love this connection with Bruce and Selina, because it shows that there was a relationship, a connection with them, and it shows that Catwoman probably changed as a person. She no longer robs from people, she no longer steals, basically. And it's shown in this film that she has an arcing story, that Falcone may or may not be her father also. So that was pretty interesting to hear about. Like, oh, so we get to hear more about Selina, who was an orphan, basically, and what happened. There's a lot of like twists and turns in this movie, which I'll not give away. I will not. Hopefully I didn't. But um that are in this film that I liked and enjoyed, that really I didn't see coming, but I did see coming at the same time, because I was like, I know who it is, but I was more curious to wonder what's the motive this killer had into killing like crime families in Gotham. And it was obviously revenge, but a lot of things also that does make sense, because there are clues and hints to this character that give you an idea why this character wanted revenge, basically. And it was done in a smart and clever way of writing it into the film, and I'm glad they put those hints in, because if you rewatch the movie, you probably be like, oh, now I get it, and I see they told you early on and you didn't know it. So that was pretty cool and creative. So yeah, I think Batman The Long Halloween, both part 1 and part 2, really well made films, and I'm gonna check out Superman Man of Tomorrow next, and Justice Society after this review, or maybe later on to this week. Have to wait for this call to end because it kind of interrupted me. And they don't answer, they just hang up. Wow, okay. So yeah, I give Batman The Long Halloween 9.8 out of 10. I think the score that stopped it from being a 10 out of 10, I guess I had a problem with the animation at times, or I really wish the friendship between Bruce and Harvey was more fleshed out in the movie as well. You know, they could have snuck in a few moments and a few days more just to make that a plot point to see them as friends. It didn't have to be a lot of scenes, just a few scenes here and there sprinkled in the movie, and you can do that. And I think I have a complaint about the whole Poison Ivy kind of like cliffhanger from the first movie, like, oh, is Bruce gonna be give up everything? Is he gonna be destroyed? And it was just a footnote in the second film. So kind of disappointed on that. Anyway, let's talk about the secret killer in this film. Again, this is not a spoiler, but it's an interesting comic book story that I learned this year. So, in this film, I was shocked to see Jim Gordon had a son. He has a little son, and of course Barbara, also known as Batgirl, she's the older sister, still a kid. Keep in mind, still a kid in this film, so she's not old enough yet to put on the cape and cowl and be Batgirl just yet. So I did not know about Jim Gordon's son, and I wanted to learn more because I was like wondering what happened to their son. Did his son get killed? I know he had a son in the Dark Knight movie, and it was shown in there. I don't know if they showed Barbara. I don't know if the daughter was shown in the film either, so I don't know if he had more than one kid that was shown in the film. I don't know. Maybe I didn't pay attention because maybe the daughter didn't have that much lines in the live action movies. But I learned the darkest story that I read about Commissioner Gordon's son that is very scary. And there's a scene in Long Halloween where the son is dressed up as Batman for Halloween, And I don't think that scene was sympathetic to me after reading this comic. So, Jim Gordon's son, also known as James Gordon Jr., is a psychopathic killer. Apparently, he was a kid born without that part of his brain that has him feeling sympathy for others, or that one part of his brain that doesn't know that murder is bad, basically. And it's been shown in this comic, or alluded to, that he killed a bully in school, and this kid went missing long ago, and no one knows who the killer was, but the suspicions go to say that Gordon's son killed him after being bullied, or seeing his sister getting bullied by this kid. And it's alluded that he is a killer, more so than ever, that a killer who killed like babies in Gotham was scared of Jim Gordon's son when he was a baby, because he saw this malicious intent in the baby's eyes, and that killer was like, "Oh, I ain't touching that kid. I'm out." And once Gordon Jr. went to study outside of Gotham, go to college, university, or something, it's been revealed that he's been killing people cross country, basically, while he was out of Gotham. And then he comes back to Gotham. He's a scientist now, or he's like helping. He's an assistant, and he's helping this scientist create something in the lab with him, working late nights with him and such. And everyone is on the hunt for this suspicious killer. And, oh, for fuck's sake. I gotta wait again. Is there anyone? For fuck's sake. I swear, no one answers that call except scammers. And they know they can't scam us or anything because we don't answer the home phone, since we all got cell phones in this house. I really don't know why we still have this landline. So, Batgirl, Robin, everyone, Gordon, Commissioner Gordon, are trying to find out who this suspicious killer is that's murdering people. Wondering who this person is and everything. They try to go and talk to this killer who was the one that was going to kill Gordon's son, and see if he was the one that did it, even though he's in prison. But turns out he wasn't, and then he gets killed off too. Well, after he tells Gordon about the story about his son and why he didn't murder his son, as I explained before. And Gordon goes out to find out that his son is creating a toxin in baby formula, basically. And he's going to unleash it all over Gotham, this toxin, to babies to feel the same way that he does. So he's basically making kids like a new form of psychopathic killers for the future. And once Gordon finds out about this, he is distraught. He is sad, knowing that his own son, his own kid, is a murderer. And he's trying to make other kids like him as well, when they're still an infant. And he allows himself to get captured. Barbara goes out and sees him, wondering why he's doing this, why. And I don't think Barbara was Batgirl at the time. I think she was Oracle when she got crippled by Joker, I think. And she's wondering to her brother, like, did you do it? but the brother's wondering to her, did you always knew that I killed someone? And Barbara's like, I didn't want to believe it. And now she knows that it's true. Because she always had kind of the suspicious thing of wondering that maybe her brother had something to do with the disappearance of a bully long ago. And you find out that he killed these people. Gordon sadly locks up his son in Arkham Asylum. And at the same time he locks up his son, he disowns him. And you don't hear from him again. He's just in Arkham, still contemplating what he did, but doesn't care because, again, part of his brain lacking sympathy, even though he did care for his sister and killed a bully for her, but he lacked a part of him that knows from right and wrong. I think that's more accurate to say. He doesn't know from right and wrong, that he lacked in his brain, I think. This is all from memory, by the way, so don't quote me on a few things I might have gotten wrong on this comic book, but I read it like last month and I'm doing it by memory, which is a stupid thing, but go look up, if you're curious, look up on the Jim Gordon's son and then find the comic and read it, because it is really insane finding out that Gordon had a son, but finding out his son is a killer is also something. And I don't know why Batman wasn't a part of this story. At least that's what I remember. I don't think Batman was in this story, but it was a sad tale. But I think it was between family, which made it more powerful. Barbara and Jim finding out that a family member was a psychopathic killer this whole time and they didn't know it. And it makes it more creepy and dark seeing the kid in Long Halloween and thinking, that kid's gonna murder people. I don't know which timeline that's canon, but it's clearly the timeline where Barbara becomes Oracle, basically. So that is, it really did shock me, because apparently this movie had more than one killer in this comic book film. So that's something to really scare you when you watch these movies. I mean, I don't know. From that point on, when I was watching these films and I saw Gordon had a son, I was like thinking, you know, I never hear much about his son, if he ever grew up to be something or his son got killed. Because I always only know his son probably in the movies, like, oh, he was a kid, and that's it. I just don't know much about his son. I only know much about Barbara, who became Batgirl when she grew up, so it really was kind of an interesting read to figure out, like, what did his son do? And I really was curious to find out, and, well, the results did not disappoint, and the results did scare me when reading it. So yeah, nice little factoid to learn about Long Halloween's secret mysterious killer. But anyway, this was a fun watch, and that was also a fun research to look up on while also watching these movies. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and make sure you watch Batman The Long Halloween. You won't be disappointed. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao, darlings.
Ow, ow, ow! Ow! Ow!